Good morning everyone, it's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be taking a look at some of the best skills a relatively new player should probably look into leveling up first. Now, every unit has 2 skills, protector units have 1 skill. But there's quite a few units in this game. I mean, quite a few units. You know, not as many as, Dokkan or Grand Cross, but this game's only been up for 5 months now, so give it a break. Getting new units every week almost. And some skills are just better than others. But which ones are the best ones to upgrade if you're just starting the game first off? Because you'll have many questions, and you do not get a terribly large amount of skill rank upgrades to begin with. So, with that said, let's take a look at the first character that most new players should upgrade, and that takes us all the way to Alice. Alice's first skill, chance to stun a single target at level 10, 30%. Now, she is the only unit in the game that has the capability of stunning an enemy. And while most endgame content levels are immune to stun, in order to get to that endgame content level of box, you're going to need gear. And to get really good gear, you need hammers, bronze hammers and silver hammers and cores. Master Conquest is where you can start getting silver hammers, which is where you can still stun. And for new players starting out, whose boxes are, not well built with, meta teams and well-rounded supports, you're gonna want every advantage possible. So stunning a target is going to be very, very important, especially against bosses with hard turn limits like the Orc of Disaster or the Earth Golem, where on turn 6 you're gonna die if you don't kill them. Alice will extend you by 2 more turns, I believe, on each of those stages, giving you that extra chance to build up those ults, extra chance to do whatever you need to finish that stage. She will help you a lot in the beginning of the game. Some people don't like to use her because they swear it's cheating. Honestly, this is not a PvP game yet, and I don't think you're going to be able to stun. Well, that's for a different video. But for now, you're trying to level up your gear. Do whatever you have to. Stun their bitch asses. Whatever. Let's move on to the second most important skills, in my opinion. Remember, this is all in my opinion. Other people will have varying thoughts on which skills to level up first, but the next 2 that I think are very important are Hinata and Valentine. Now, why? This game revolves around orb colors. Orange, blue, and green. And some units work well with specific colored orbs. Some work well with the other color of orbs. Now, what these 2 characters do is that they change one of each. 1 blue and 1 orange to 2 greens, and Hinata does 1 blue and 1 green to 2 oranges. These are what I like to refer to as special converters, special orb converters, because there are many units in the game that do a single orb change, like, say, Fire Millum right here. She does 1 green to 1 blue. Cool, that's the most basic of orb changing capabilities. But then you have, say, Mirren here, who does 2 green to 2 orange. So you have 1 and 1, 2 to 2. But then Hinata and Valentine are currently the only 2 units that can do 1 and 1 into 2 of the same color, which makes them really important for the teams that they're going to be run on, and really any other team, because any team can really benefit from this kind of orb changing. Because there's a lot of times where you're stuck with, 4 greens and then 1 blue, 1 orange, and you're like, great. I really wish I had that extra little 2 skills, 2 orbs, to increase my power, to build up my meter, and this is what Valentine will do. Alongside boosting the gauge that you get from the greens as a whole, she'll change those 2. And Hinata, once we go over to her, there we go, come on. 1 blue, 1 green to 2 orange. Runs the same way, increases the gauge you get from oranges now. Very, very powerful skills. Now, the only thing that holds them back is that you are not able to summon for them. They are meta characters, which means they only come during their related month. Hinata has come and gone. Valentine has come and gone. However, I believe as of recording this on March 14th, we should be getting some kind of news about the Wind rerun banner, which means that you will be able to summon for Valentine most likely within the next couple weeks. Maybe a decent pickup. I'm not a big fan of any of the other Wind units, but Valentine is for sure the best Wind unit of that meta. So definitely a very powerful pickup. The next set of skills that you should be really looking into ranking up is almost any natural 5-star protection unit skill. Now, protection units are your team leaders. They give you support boosts, they have very powerful abilities, therefore they have a much lower pull rate because they are so useful. And getting a 5-star protector, especially very specific ones, will boost the capabilities of your team by a lot. So let's take a look at one who I personally am not the biggest fan of, which is Wind Shuna. So Wind Shuna leads... Oh, let's go back. Hold on. I didn't have to go that far back. Wind Shuna leads the Wind and Water team. Cool. Wind and Water are, two metas that are happening or already happened. 12% for Wind, 8% for Light on your attack. Her skill increases your guard rate by 68%, and increases your green gauge by 50% for each green orb that you use. It works with the with the Wind team, because they're all about changing to greens. That's why Valentine is that special green converter that we just got done talking about. It works very well. I just don't use her a lot because I don't really run the Wind team that much. But this is still very powerful because guard means you're going to take less damage from normal attacks, which is going to save your ass. And then increasing this just means that you're going to have an easier time getting guard back up from Shuna, getting more skill points, and getting your ults online. So, I mean, it's still a very powerful skill. Now let's look at the unit that I would use over Wind Shuna, and that is Charybdis. Cabby. Also leads Space and Wind. Its skill, increases your skill cost limit by 40 points. So, if you see, and you're starting out, you have a green skill point cap of 100. When you use Charybdis, you will then have access to 140 points maximum, and then 180, and so forth, if you keep using him. Which is very possible because of his second effect, which is increase all solo skills gauges by 150%. So Wind Shuna did 50%. Decent. Charybdis does 150%, which means that if you're running a team that feeds off of green orbs, and you pop Cabby, you're immediately going to have maximum everything. If you have a whole hand of, greens, and when you pop Cabby, you're literally going to have like double ults, you're going to have 2 more meters of Charybdis, and you're going to have unlimited skill points. Charybdis' skill is very, very powerful. And honestly, he's probably the best protector in the game, because I use Charybdis to lead teams that have no business being on his team. I used him for Gazel, I used him for the Dark team, I used him for pretty much anyone because of the power that you get from getting that 150% boost on the green orbs. Another very good protector is Veldora. What does Veldora do? He leads Wind and Dark, for one. He increases your skill cost limit by 30, so not quite as good as Cabby, but still extra 30 points. He gives you 30 points, so as soon as you up that, you get it. So if you're at 100, you increase your cap to 30, and also you're 130, and then you get 30, so you're already at the maximum cap. And he also increases your ult damage by 10%, which stacks up to 5 times. So you can do that, you can get an extra 50% ult damage if you use him enough, and if you go that far into a fight, which isn't really the most realistic thing in the world. Maybe 2, if you're lucky 3. but it's still very powerful skills. Each protector has very powerful skills for the team that they run. So upgrading their skills is a priority if you're going to run a good team. Now the 4-star and 3-star protectors down here, not nearly as important because their effects are so much less. Some of them do change your entire hand, but there's no cost to them. It's just their percentages. So fuse. So skill cost limit by 5. You know, Cabby does 40, Veldora does 30, he does 5. And then that can go up to probably 10? 15. So, it's okay. But he also has that extra effect of changing an entire hand of oranges into greens. Very powerful, but this is not capped. This second part does not have to be leveled up. He just does that automatically. So I wouldn't truly invest a whole lot of upgrade materials into 3-star and 4-star protectors. I would hold off until you get a natural 5-star protector and upgrade them first. The next set of skills that I am going to look at are the big high skill point support buffs. And we're going to take a look at 2 of them right now because they are on the general banner pool of units. Therefore, you always have the chance of pulling them. You do not have to be limited to a certain meta banner from whatever month that already happened that you have no chance of getting now until they rerun it. Space Rimuru, for one, gives the entire team at maximum, like this, 40% attack for 1 turn. The entire front line, so your 3 battle units that are currently in, that you currently are using, you pop Rimuru, you give them all an extra 40% attack. Very powerful. It's not what I would call cheap, because 55 is the highest skill point usage right now that is in the game. But increasing your attack by 40% just straight up, very, very good support buff right there. Another unit that has I wouldn't say similar effect, but very powerful high point effect would be Wind Millum, and her increasing Soul of Combos damage by 70%. Now, Soul of Combos is a fancy term for saying your ult, your super attack, whatever you want to call it. Big damage attack. Extra 70%. And increases her own crit damage by 20, but that's just for her, and she's an AoE, so what I really care about on a pretty standard team that I run is having both Rimuru and Wind Millum in the back, running someone like Charybdis or Veldora who increases my skill cap points, and then I have enough to use 110 skill points, which is these 2 buffs, and then I can launch ults for days with big damage numbers. And then, if you want to get real fancy, you can pop the 70%, and then the Wind Veldora Protector that we talked about earlier, his stacks with Millum. Now, he's the only one that stacks with Millum right now. He's the only one that can stack because it's a permanent buff. But in theory, you could have 120% boost to your ult if you max out Veldora 5 times and you pop Wind Millum. Realistic? Not really, but possible? Yes. So those are the first 2 buffs that I would worry about. If you do have those 2, I would definitely upgrade these skills. They will help you with your damage output if you're having difficulties killing things within a certain amount of turns. These units will give you a little bit of a safer margin for error. Now, after these 2, we come into some of the less common because they're not featured on a lot of banners. So first up is Fire Millum. Came during the Fire meta of January. We have yet to see her come back, but her skill increases your crit rate by 100% and seals the target's crit resistance by 100%, meaning that your crits do more damage and you will always crit. So, very powerful skill. Guaranteed crits. You play any kind of game and you get guaranteed crits, and that unit's pretty good. She gives it to everyone. Very powerful. Also 55-point skill, but again, you don't have a chance to get her currently. When the Fire banners rerun, she will be on that banner. But until then, not really here. Another unit of kind of like a Windmillum is Dark Veldora. Dark Banner, I think, is leaving soon or is already gone now, but he increases your ult damage by 60% at level 10, and also decreases the pierce resistance by the enemy by 10%, meaning your pierce cards do more damage. And then along the same lines, you have Guy, who is... where is he? There he is. Guy increases your ult damage by 50% at level 10, and he decreases your target's crit resistance by 20%, meaning your crits do even more damage, which if you combine with Fire Millen, and you pop this, then you're doing guaranteed crits that do a crap ton of damage because your ults are boosted, your normals are crits, and they have decreased crit resistance. So, very powerful combos you can set up with these 55-point ult boosters. But again, Guy and Veldora and Fire Millen are not available on any current banner right now. So, a little unfortunate, but if you do happen to pull them, further down the line, maybe look into putting some points into their skills, if just those two skills. The next set of skills on the list are healing units. Now, healers in this game are, I wouldn't say the most common thing in the world. There's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of them is not summonable. You have to buy her from the shop, which costs a pretty penny. But the most common one that you'll see, because she's a general banner pool unit, is Trainee, who also has the biggest heal of the general of the not octagram units. So she heals all allies by up to 30% of their max HP at level 10. I'm at 27%. Healing in this game is kind of a double-edged sword. It is important for some stages, it's not important for other stages. Other stages you're looking to kill ASAP, and obviously if your units can't live long enough, then you probably need to get some better gear first, get some dupes in them, but healing will definitely help you out. Healing is always very good. Trainee is the most common healer because she is a general banner pool unit. Another unit that heals is Water Rimuru, also 5-star. Heals for 20% and also boosts the blue orb damage. So not as big as Trainee's heal, still a healer. And then there is Slime Rimuru. There you are. Oh, I can awaken you. Good to know. He also heals by 20% with no extra effects. It's just a straight up heal for 20%. And then we come to a unit that we've already talked about before, which is Valentine, which is why Valentine is the best unit in the Wind meta, and one of the best units in the game is because we talked about her double orb change, which is very helpful for any team. Now, she can also heal for 25% and boost the damage of the greens that she's changing. So 25%, second highest, next to Trainee. Very, very, very good unit. Very, very good skill. If you have Valentine, you should probably max out everything for her. I thought that was maxed out. Well, I should probably max out this skill too while we're at it. Anyways, moving on. Valentine, Water Rimuru, Slime Rimuru, Trainee. And then the other units that heal, another one that is a limited banner unit is Light Shizu. She is the first single target healer. Heals the ally with the lowest percentage of HP by 45% at level 10. Very powerful, single target, only costs 15 points, which makes her very useful, but to be perfectly honest, I don't use her that much because I'm not looking to heal in most of my fights. I'm looking to kill. And if I do want to heal, I'm probably just going to bring an all-team healer. And she's not overly common because her banner left last month. So you're not going to have a chance to pull her for at least like 3 more months or so. So you should be aware of her, but don't be too bummed out. And then the final unit that is a healer, I do not have personally because I have not bought her yet, but it is Wind Ramaris, the Octagram Ramaris, who Heals all allies by 55% of their max HP at level 1, 65% at level 10. The biggest heal in the game. The biggest heal in the game. But locked behind Octagram currency, which takes takes about 2 months of farming every event that comes out, every new event, all the missions to get, so not exactly what I would call the most obtainable unit in the game. Granted, you know, you could have terrible luck and never pull a trainee or a water reamer, so you never have a healer, but it is what it is. She is definitely another healer. If you do pull Romulus or you do buy her, then obviously you're going to want to link up, level her up, everything, because Octagram units are still very, very, very good units. The last set of skills that I want to talk about in this video are something that I've already mentioned, but Orb Changing, since this game revolves around sending orbs. Orange orbs, blue orbs, green orbs, they all do different things. Having more in a hand and launching more of them in a turn gives you a bigger damage increase on that final hit, up to 200% if you send a full hand of 6. And to assist you with getting those full hands, there are double orb changers. So Fire Shizu is a double blue to double orange. Very helpful for, you know, trying to ult rush. Wind Shuna is a double blue to double green orb changer. She's free as well, so everyone is able to get her. Let's see, we already talked about Mirren being a double green to double orange as well. We have Earth Milim, who is a double orange to double blue orb changer. So having access to these orb changing units will help your teams out immensely as far as running, as far as getting combos going, as far as, you know, getting your damage output just a little bit higher. Water Alice, one of the newest units to come out this month, she is a double blue to double green orb changer. So there are quite a few units that have the ability to double orb change. Soe is another one with a double orange to double green. Yeah, double orange to double green. So playing around with your team comps, depending on what team you're using, which, you know, what type advantage you're trying to run, look and see if you have any double orb changing units on that team. And if you don't, maybe consider bringing one or upgrading one that exists up to level 10 or at least level 9 or so. That way you can maximize the secondary effect that you get from those orb changers, because most of them, if not all of them, do have a side effect alongside double orb changing. But that's it for me, guys. These are the, let's see, how many did we go over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 kinds of skills that you should look into upgrading first when you're starting out the game. Let me know in the comments if you found this guide helpful. If you think there's a specific skill that I passed over that you think should be on this list, let me know. I have not mentioned like personal attack buffs or some very specific conquest ones. I can go over those in a second video for, you know, strategies for conquest, but for now, that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.